He's talking. Grizzlies fans know it's the team that gives you the edge. Big River Steel does too. And much like the Grizzlies have recruited legendary talent, we want you to be part of our team. Are you ready to be part of something legendary? Then visit www.bigriversteel.com. That's www.bigriversteel.com.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering, to those with a history of raising their performance to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy.
Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
I think we have the college basketball title futures. UConn's number one.
I really like Houston. I'd have them winning it all, but you can't be giving Drake jerseys. What is wrong with you?
Maybe the Drake curse is stronger in college basketball.
How long has he been riding with Kentucky?
He wore an Alabama jersey and Saban retired.
The Odds Couple with Rob Fisher, Lang Whitaker, John Roser, and CJ Hurt live Thursdays at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Live from the Built Ford Tough studio at FedEx Forum, it's the Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South, on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Now, here's your host, Gary Parrish.
All right, I'm here. My name is Garrett Parrish. I'm speaking to you from Stamford, Connecticut. Ben and Doyle back in Memphis to produce the program. Glad he's with me. Glad you're with me. Hope you're enjoying the day. And I hope you like big trades on the day before the draft. And we got one yesterday. Knicks and Nets got together, made a deal. Mikal Bridges is heading across the East River. Call Madison Square Garden home with a bunch of former Villanova teammates. The Knicks got better. They paid a big price. Was it too big? I'll ask in a second. First, though, quickly, let me set today's schedule for the next segment. We'll be joined by Mike Wallace. He's senior editor, Grind City Media. He's not too far away from me right now. He's in Brooklyn for tonight's first round of the 2028 draft. Grizzlies are slotted to pick ninth. Will they move up, move down? Stand pat. I'll talk to Mike Wallace. He's going to join me here in about 20 minutes. Finish talking to Mike. We'll take a break. Come back. Do 5 more things you need to know, which one we're going to discuss 5 previously undiscussed stories. Texas has a new baseball coach, the former Texas A&M baseball coach. The same guy acted offended when he was asked about the Texas job on Monday night. Weird deal. We'll discuss that in about 40 minutes. TMT has an update on Bill Belicheck, legendary Patriots coach, and his much younger girlfriend. I'll tell you what they're reporting. We'll do that in the third segment. Garrett Cole's second start of the season for the Yankees. Sorry, Bennett. Did not go too well. He got rocked by the scorching hot New York Mets. I'll give you the number a little later on in the show. Haley Welch, more famously known as the Hot Tuah girl, has reportedly signed an all-encompassing deal with the talent giant United Talent Agency. So this woman's life has changed dramatically overnight. I'll give you the latest. We'll do that a little later on in the show. And we got new Dear Jane.
Oh, wow.
This one involves a wedding and 2 sisters. They don't seem to be on the same page about it. I'll walk you through it, then me and Bennett will figure out how we'd handle this situation. That's what we're going to do during a segment we call 5 More Things You Need to Know. Then we'll eventually do GP's carryout. We'll call it a day. So that's the rundown. We got a lot to get to, but I did want to start with the NBA because just one day in advance of the 2024 NBA draft, which starts tonight again in Brooklyn, we got a big trade between the Knicks and the Nets. The Knicks added Mikal Bridges. The cost, it's steep. 4 unprotected first-round draft picks, 2025 protected first-round pick, a pick swap, and 2 second-round picks. It's a big price to pay for a 27-year-old wing who, great as he is, never been an all-star. Big Bet Bennett, too big of a price, or what does it matter if you get Mikal Bridges?
I mean, I think it's the price that you have to pay if you want him, if you're the New York Knicks. I don't think I would do it. I believe when there were the rumors circulating about the Grizzlies potentially wanting Mikal Bridges back when, that it was 4 first-round picks. And even then, I thought it was a little too high for a guy that's never been an all-star. I'm a fan. Like, I think he's a really good player. But, yeah, I don't think I would do it. Like, if I was the Grizzlies in that situation, I don't think I would do that. But I totally get why the Knicks did it.
They just really captured something in New York this season. And who knows where that thing goes if, the roster isn't decimated by injuries throughout the playoffs. They could have certainly been in the Eastern Conference Finals. And then, great as the Celtics are, you never know, particularly if you get Jalen Brunson playing at a high level. And, what impact can that incredible crowd inside Madison Square Garden make? So they really captured something. And they feel like for the first time in a long time, they're close. I don't know how close they actually are, but they obviously feel like they're close, and it was time to punch it and go for it right now. And they clearly look at Mikal Bridges as a possible missing piece, because I think every franchise in the NBA could use somebody like Mikal Bridges. Like, he is your prototypical 3-and-D wing, but not one who necessarily needs to take all the shots.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he showed in Brooklyn. Like, if you need him to go out and score, he can go out and score. But that doesn't seem to be his makeup, his mindset. He seems to be happy, comfortable, impacting winning in a very specific role. And obviously he's familiar with much of the Knicks roster because he played college basketball with a lot of the Knicks roster. It is remarkable now that the Knicks next season are going to be an Eastern Conference contender, and they are largely going to be relying on people who won national championships at Villanova, either in 2016, 18, or both. They will now have Jalen Brunson on this team. They will now have Josh Hart on this team. They have Dante DiVincenzo on the team, and last night they added Mikal Bridges. That's kind of a neat little thing. Like, if you're a Villanova fan, I imagine most of them are Sixers fans, but it's weird. You probably got a special place in your heart somewhere for the Knicks right now.
Yeah, they're going to take over MSG. There's no question. You're going to get a lot of people coming over from Philly to watch those games this year. So that is a cool storyline. And it was
like, imagine 4 Memphis Tigers from the 2008 Final Four team were all on the same NBA team and on the same team with relevant roles, if not starring roles. That would be a wild thing for Memphians to get excited about.
Yeah, have we ever had anything even remotely close to this? I can't think so. I mean, I'm sure you have teammates, like 2 guys that have played on the same college basketball team, but 4 is crazy.
Oh, I thought you meant had Memphis ever had anything like this?
No.
So, I mean, I'm certain you could go back, or at least I'm open to the idea that you could go back to like the 60s and the 70s and find a bunch of UCLA guys
right.
who played on the same team, or a bunch of Kentucky guys who played on the same team. I would imagine something similar has happened before, but it's obviously a pretty rare thing, and it must make Jay like extremely proud, because I can remember with those 2016 and 18 teams, and the 2018 team is like quite literally one of the greatest modern college basketball teams of all time. Like, they played 5 out, they shot it from everywhere. People still say things every once in a while, particularly about a program like Alabama. They'll say, well, you can't shoot threes like that and go win a national championship. They take too many threes. Man, about half their shots come from 3. You can't shoot that many threes and win a national championship in a single elimination tournament. You're just going to have an off night one night. Well, that might be true most of the time for most teams, but when somebody says things like you can't shoot that many threes and win a national championship in college basketball, quickly remind them that Villanova did it in 2018. Basically, half their shots came from three. They shot it from all 5 positions, and they were awesome. If they didn't have weird injury stuff in the middle of the season, they might have lost 1 game, 2 games. I mean, they were awesome and overwhelming. And one of the things I remember as that team was emerging as a clear contender was people would say, okay, they're the efficiency numbers are great and the analytics are impressive, but typically, a national championship team, I think they said it about 2016 and 18, typically a national championship team, they've got real NBA players on it. And man, if you're looking at this Villanova team right now, who are the real NBA players? Who are the guys that are actually going to be picked and play in that league for any reasonable amount of time? Like, these are questions that even basketball people ask, and all these years later we have our answers. You know who from Villanova is going to play in the NBA? All of them. They all ended up being. They didn't look like it, or at least some of them didn't look like it at the time. Like Jalen Brunson was not picked in the first round. They didn't look like it at the time, but as the years have peeled off the calendar, those 2016 and 2018 Villanova teams, from a talent perspective, they've really aged well. And it's always funny when you look back at this type of stuff and try to identify who's talented and who isn't, who had real players and who didn't. You can find a Bill Plaschke column from March 2008, April 2008, like heading into that UCLA Memphis Final Four game. And it was basically, the whole premise he set up was, here's Ben Howland, a real coach, like a real basketball coach. And here's John Calipari, who just assembles talent. And so now, we'll find out on Saturday in the national semifinals, can the guy with all the talent actually beat the guy who, really coaches his basketball team? That was sort of the premise of the column. Well, you look back on it, who had all the talent? Kevin Love, Russell Westbrook, Darren Collison. They're all on the UCLA team. The pros, like the good pros that came out of Memphis in 2008, it was, respectfully, Derrick Rose. And those other guys got a cup of coffee. But when you look back on that 2008 Final Four, maybe the least talented team there in terms of NBA potential was Memphis. But people didn't talk about them that way at the time. It was like Memphis has got all these studs. Well, go back and look at it. UCLA, they had all the studs, and Memphis ran them off the court in the national semifinals. Sometimes this stuff ages just differently than you think it's going to, and those 2016 and 18 Villanova teams, good examples of that. When you were watching them in real time, hey, I wonder if any of these guys are going to be great pros. Turns out at least 4 of them are high-level, meaningful pros, and they're doing it for, a big franchise in New York City that thinks they are the biggest threat to the Celtics in the East as currently constructed.
Hey, by the way,
do you agree with that?
Oh, that they're the biggest threat to the Celtics? Yes, absolutely. I think they passed the Pacers in the East with this move.
We got to see what Philadelphia does with this cap space.
Got to see what Philly does. Got to see what Philly does, and can Embiid stay healthy? Right, that's always a factor too. By the way, before that, Jalen, shout out to Jalen. He did send me a good one. It happened here. We had Justice Winslow, Grayson Allen, and Tyus Jones all at the same time, and they played together on that Duke team. Yeah,
three guys that played on the 2015 national championship team at Duke. Or was it? What year was that? Was that year?
I think that's right.
Okay. So either way, yeah, okay. So that's an example, but now we got 4 Villanova national champions playing in New York. So that's still a little level above. Either way, a unique situation, and I guess just to bottom line that point, when you're watching college basketball, teams don't always assume you know exactly what these players are going to look like as pros. People did this with UConn as well. You look at UConn and it's like, okay, Stephon Castle's a lottery pick, Donovan Clingan probably a lottery pick, but what about the rest of these guys? If all 5 UConn starters were in this draft, they'd probably all 5 get picked. 4 of them are likely to get picked: Clingan, Castle, Tristan Newton in the second round. Obviously, Alex Karabin came back to school, but if he would have been in the draft, he would have probably been selected, and Cam Spencer likely to get picked tonight as well. So it looks like all 5 UConn starters are going to be NBA players from these back-to-back, or at least from the second of the 2 back-to-back national championship teams. And you look back at those Villanova championship teams, and those guys have done okay for themselves. Most of the reporting, because I imagine people's heads go to this place as soon as you hear they just made a big trade for a wing. Like, what does this mean for OG Anunoby? All of the reporting suggests the Knicks still plan on keeping him. They consider him a part of this. And so you add, that Knicks roster that looked like they were headed to the Eastern Conference Finals before injuries. You bring it back mostly intact. Hartenstein probably now out of the franchise. But you bring it back with Anunoby, add Mikal Bridges. I think it's a net positive. They got better. I don't know if they got good enough to challenge the Celtics in the East, but they got better. And just to answer the big question about, was it too big of a price to pay? I think you're right in the sense that a lot of franchises would not have paid this price for a 27-year-old who's never been an all-star. But this morning, I bet you for every Knicks fan who's worried about the price paid, there's 10 who are just excited about the possibilities. And my experience with this stuff is, yes, price needs to be accounted for when you're evaluating whether this is a good deal to make or a bad deal to make. But the only time people really start focusing too much on what you gave up to get something is if the something doesn't turn into what you imagined it would be. If Mikal Bridges turns into a meaningful, impactful wing in New York who helps them clearly emerge as the biggest threat to the Celtics in the East and puts them in a position where, they're in a 7-game series in the Eastern Conference Finals against the reigning champs next season. As long as that kind of stuff happens and Mikal Bridges is an important, positive part of it, you will not look back to June 25th, 2024 and go, yeah, but man, that was a lot of picks to give up. You'll just be happy you got the guy. The only reason the price is theoretically too big is if it doesn't work out. And guess what? If it doesn't work out, 3 first-round picks would have been too big of a price. This is one of those deals where you paid what you paid because that's what it cost. If it works out, you won't mind it. If it doesn't, you will mind it. But if it doesn't work out, you're going to mind it no matter what.
Yeah, I completely agree.
So that is the big deal that was made in advance of night 1 of the NBA draft. And so now we head into this thing with Zachary Ricochet still projected in the betting markets as the favorite to be the number 1 overall pick as selected by the Atlanta Hawks. But there is reporting from as recent as this morning that the Hawks have given no clear indication to any agent, any player, anybody of what they are planning to do tonight with the number 1 pick. Clearly, most signs are pointing toward Ricochet, in part because Alex Sarr never went to Atlanta and worked out, never met with them. And again, Ricochet is an obvious candidate simply because of what the betting markets are suggesting right now. Beyond that, he's always been talked about in this conversation. Reed Sheppard also an option. Donovan Clingan also an option. But at this point, it looks like if Atlanta makes the pick will be Zachary Ricochet. But there's some thought that Atlanta could trade down for somebody wanting to move up and grab Alex Sarr or Donovan Clingan, perhaps even Reed Sheppard. And Atlanta could just trade the pick completely for veteran help, could do something big with Trae Young and or DeJounte Murray. Like, they're not just trying to figure out in Atlanta what to do with the number 1 pick. They're trying to figure out what to do with their star point guard, what to do with his backcourt mate, what to do with the direction of their franchise in general. So there's a lot of big and heavy conversations happening in Atlanta right now, I'm certain. And now, we're just a few hours away from finding out exactly what it is they will do. The Grizzlies right now still slotted to pick 9th. They're going to move up, move down, stand pat. Mike Wallace, Grind City Media, he is in Brooklyn right now, getting ready for tonight's first round of the NBA draft. He's going to join me on the other side next. I'll ask him about all of this stuff. It's the Gary Parrish Show. We're presented by Ortho South.
If you look at it as far as the number 9 pick over the years, there's been some pretty good players that have surfaced at number 9. Of course, Dirk Nowitzki, who won a championship. There's been a lot of great guys, but who knows if there is a great guy in this draft.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizzbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Heart Royal Flush Tour 2024, November 14th, FedEx Forum. A journey through the hits and timeless classics. The iconic band returns with special guests
Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin Evening. Tickets on sale now at heart-music.com. Heart with Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin Evening. Produced by AEG Presents.
Now for a limited time, the new $1.99 crispy tender wraps are here at Sonic. Who could deny a crispy chicken tender with bold flavors like hickory barbecue and cheesy Baja? And we can't forget the crisp lettuce and melty cheese to make the perfect bite. Wrap yourself up with some TLC, tender, love, and chicken for only $1.99. Sonic $1.99 crispy tender wraps. Tax not included, limited time only at participating Sonic drive-ins.
Look at the score. Look at the score. He does this.
Hey, but look at the bench, though.
Look at number 3.
Right before I walked in the locker room, Danny Ainge pulled me to the side and said, "Hey, Tony Allen, come here. Let me give you a little basketball etiquette. When you're down 40, do not do an in-game windmill. It's just disgusting for the game."
The Chris Vernon Show, presented by Caesars Sportsbook, live weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. We have another edition. This will be the 3rd edition of the Debate Club. You guys are going to sell a shoe to Mr. Bennett Doyle, our producer over here.
Oh, yeah.
I saw these.
I've seen these.
I saw these on social media too.
It's the perfect house shoe.
I know, right?
Like, yeah, it's not even a house shoe. I bet you they're really comfortable. You know, you heard of unisex. This is unifoot. Oh, my God.
The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Welcome back. Gary Parrish Show presented by Ortho South. Bennett's back in the Built Ford Tough studio inside FedEx Forum. I am in Stamford, Connecticut for CBS Sports HQ. This is where one of our HQ studios is. I'll be in studio tonight with, among others, former NBA Coach of the Year Avery Johnson, reacting to every pick in the first round. And Mike Wallace, he is actually in Brooklyn, where the draft is going to take place tonight inside Barclays Center. And he's going to be joining us here momentarily when he gets connected on Skype or Zoom, however you connect to things.
A lot of moving parts this morning, GP.
Parts. You're in Memphis. I'm in Connecticut. Mike's in New York.
Brother, it's been a morning. We didn't have air conditioning on JB's show this morning, so I'm a little like discombobulated. But it's back. It's back now. I feel the cool air coming in, but it was a rough go of it this morning.
We start to think maybe you're the problem because it feels like wherever you go, your old house, your new house, FedEx Forum, wherever you go, we lose air conditioning pretty quickly.
It's really true.
Have you ever realized that maybe? Have you ever considered that maybe you're the problem?
I have considered that. Yes, I may be the problem here. Because the funny thing is as soon as I'm used to it, right? Like JB was a little panicked this morning. I'm just like, that's fine. I've been sitting in non-air conditioned rooms for years. It feels like it, so I'm used to it.
You're conditioned for it. Like you're comfortable being uncomfortable and sweating because it's like that's what life is so often. I'm in one of those situations with our home where you just wait for any summer is going to be the summer where one of these big units goes out.
Yes.
And that's like a big that's a buddy when your air conditioning goes out, that costs something, doesn't it?
Yes, it. I actually a couple of weeks ago, when the power went out, they tried to, because my air conditioner wouldn't come back on when they got the power back on, and they tried to blame it on my air conditioner. I was like, nah, bro, that's not it. This is a new unit, and they figured it out eventually. So yeah, I ain't trying to pay those expenses right now.
There's nothing better than having a heat and air guy you can trust on speed dial. You know, you got to have a heat and air guy. You can't just have random heat and air guys coming to your house because they'll be trying to get you new units all the time. You got to have a heat and air guy. This is when you know you got a good heat and air guy. When he looks at you and he says, "GP, it's coming soon. but I think I can keep this one working another summer. Just let me get back here and mess around with it. And next thing you know, he's pulling Freon out of something and putting it into something else. And then we're blowing cold air again. But there's going to be one summer where he just says, there's nothing more I can do with this one. But like for 3 straight years now, he's been like, let me get back here and get my hands on it.
Yeah.
And he always figures it out. I appreciate that. And then tell me if you run into this problem at all. Most people accept payment in like Venmo, Cash App. Like basically everybody has Venmo and Cash App or something these days, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how you pay for. That's how you cover your golf bets. It's how you buy your drugs. Just like Venmo and Cash App, all that. I got a heat and air guy. He ain't got no Venmo or no Cash App. So he comes to my house when I'm out of town. He fixes things. Now I owe him some money. Several $100.
Want a check?
He needs a check.
Check?
Ready for this? I had no checks.
Bro, it's 2024. Who writes checks anymore?
I was like, buddy, I said, listen, I hope you know I'm not the type of person who's like not paying
Ducking you. Right.
I'm not ducking you. I literally I'm back in town. I need to pay you. You don't take a credit card. You don't take Venmo or Cash App. I guess I could just swing by your house and drop off cash, but that sounds like a lot of trouble, So I had to actually order checks from the bank. This is what I told the guy. I said, okay, listen, I'm ordering new checks just in case I ever run into another human for whatever reason who doesn't take Venmo or Cash App or some other, Apple Wallet, whatever, Apple Pay. I'm ordering checks, and when they come in, my very first check, I'll put your name on it, and then I'll mail it to you.
Yeah.
But the whole thing was like a 3-week process, and I felt like a bum for 3 weeks because I'm like, I hope he ain't out there thinking, man, I wish this guy would pay me. I showed up when he needed me, and then he still hadn't paid me. But the reason I can't pay you is because I don't have it. I had 0 checks, none. Do you see do you see how difficult my life gets sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have checks right now either. I don't know anyone that uses checks anymore. So yeah, that's a little ridiculous. Now I will do the like I had a guy come work at my house the other week, and we just did straight cash transaction. That always works.
I'm not afraid of a straight cash transaction if you give me a heads up. But you got to keep in mind, he came and worked on my house while I was out of town or playing golf or something. I just wasn't there. So I wasn't there to give him cash. So this is a thing we got to handle via text message later on in the day. And at that point, I was like, man, just tell me what I owe you. I'll hit you on Venmo, Cash App. It's like, I don't do Venmo. I don't do Cash App. I don't do Apple Pay. I just take a check. And I'm like, well, buddy, I don't even know where to get a check. It's June 2024. Where do you even get checks these days? I ordered checks just so I would have one check to pay this guy.
Right.
Isn't that outrageous? And hey, I'll tell you what's frustrating. If you can't tell, we're filling until we get connected with Mike Wallace.
I don't know if we're going to get Mike on. I don't know. He's having Skype issues right now.
This happened to me. And after this stupid story, we'll just move on if we have to. But this happened to me at Kroger a few weeks ago. You ever got behind somebody in line?
That writes a check?
This woman wrote a check in front of me and then had to, you know how if you remember having a checkbook, people would always tell you got to balance your checkbook. I was never really good at that. But they'd always tell you, like if you're going to write a check to Kroger for $184.17, you need to put it in the ledger over here, $184.17, so you can keep it up so you know exactly where you're at. I'm like, well, my app tells me that. I can go to my Truist app or my Regions app or my Bank of Bartlett app. I can figure that stuff out, no problem. This lady, not only did she take the time to write the whole check, K-R-O, she's doing the whole deal. Then she couldn't just leave. She had to stand there in my way. She's preventing me from getting to the register. She stood there and she had to fill in her ledger too and do the subtraction, and it just felt like too much.
Yeah, I know. That's I'm not trying to wait behind somebody writing a check. That's outrageous. Please don't do that.
I didn't know what to say to her. Like, she didn't seem to know she was doing something inappropriate. She didn't seem to know she was causing problems. It seemed like this is a woman who's probably been coming to the grocery store for the past 60 years, and this is the way she's always done it, so she's just going to keep doing it this way. But I tell you, standing behind her, watching her pull a pin out of her purse, got a little frustrated, if I'm being honest. If I'm being honest, it wasn't the best shopping experience I've ever had.
Yeah, I agree.
Bennett as the executive producer.
Yeah, as the executive producer, I'm going to make an executive position and say we're probably not going to have Mike Wallace today.
Isn't that disappointing? Because I really want to talk to Wallace. I saw his live stand-up hit on the streets of Brooklyn last night. He's going to be inside Barclays Center for the draft tonight. So I was excited to get his thoughts on just sort of the scene in Brooklyn and what he expects from the Grizzlies tonight. But, sometimes when you're doing a live show and you're getting people to connect on Skype or Zoom or any other way people connect, sometimes, Bennett, this ain't the first time and it won't be the last. Sometimes you have issues,
Yes, that's how these things work.
And considering I don't have any more stories about checks to tell, I'm completely out. That's the extent of my check storytelling experience. I think maybe the best thing to do would just be take a break, come back, do 5 more things you need to know. And number one is Texas has a new baseball coach. And you'll recognize this fella because he's the same guy who on Monday night, after losing to Tennessee, go Big Orange, as the Vols won their first College World Series in program history, this fellow was asked specifically about the Texas job because the rumors were out there. And he acted offended if anybody would even, present that to him under these circumstances. And less than 24 hours later, he takes the Texas job. This guy seems like a weasel, Bennett.
Yep.
This guy seems like a scoundrel. I'll tell you his name, and we'll play the clip for you. We'll do that next. The Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South.
Shall we talk about our favorite NBA Finals MVPs? Number 3 is a little bit of Canadian history because it's the first and only NBA championship that the country as a whole has. I'm going to go with Kawhi Leonard's second Finals MVP. I still get my little heart warm even thinking about it, and I was there watching every game. IMHO with Lang Whitaker and me, Kelsey Wright Johnson, on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
If you look at it, as far as the number 9 pick over the years, there's been some pretty good players that have surfaced at number 9. Of course, Dirk Nowitzki, who won a championship. There's been a lot of great guys, but who knows if there is a great guy in this draft.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
What is going on? What is it? Which one? What color was it? Yeah, that's vomit. That's vomit. Yeah, that is the worst one. The vomit is the worst one. I'd like to remind everybody that this is her idea. She wanted to do this.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Hey Grizzlies fans, turn your stadium excitement into betting action at Southland Casino Hotel. As a proud sponsor of the Memphis Grizzlies, Southland brings you more gaming action than ever before. Step onto our massive casino floor stretching more than 2.5 football fields. Slot enthusiasts can enjoy more than 2,300 machines from penny slots to high limits and play the hottest games like Aristocrat Dollar Storm, Cloverlink, and Lightning Cash. Table game aficionados can feel the thrill of the felt with 50 live table games. From 3-card to blackjack match, we're ready to deal you in. Plus, don't miss stadium gaming for an interactive digital experience. And for high rollers, our high limit room is calling your name. Go big on 6 high limit blackjack tables or spin one of our 54 high stakes slot machines. Throw in 8 delicious dining options and a 300-room high-rise hotel, and there's plenty to keep you going. At Southland Casino Hotel, the gaming excitement never stops.
Must be 21 plus. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
LifeCare Ambulance is proud to be an official partner of the Memphis Grizzlies and FedEx Forum. At LifeCare, they wear their hearts with pride. Their passion is their people. They want you to love what you do and where you do it. Their employee-driven culture encourages a healthy work-life balance and supportive work environment. They invest in your success and well-being so that you can provide the best care for the patients that they serve. Join the incredible team of EMTs and paramedics in Memphis, Nashville, and across the nation today. Learn more at lifecareamb.com.
Injuries can be unpredictable, unforeseen, and unscheduled, and Ortho South understands this better than anyone. Since your injuries don't make appointments, you don't need to either. That's because Ortho South welcomes walk-ins during the weekdays, in the evenings, and even on Saturdays. So next time an unforeseen injury makes an unscheduled appearance in your life, visit orthosouth.org to find your nearest urgent care location. Just walk in, and Ortho South will take care of everything, especially you. Learn more at orthosouth.org. That's Ortho South at orthosouth.org. Now, I got 5 more things you need to know.
Number 1.
Texas has hired a new baseball coach, and it happens to be from an in-state rival, now conference rival, and it's the same fella who acted very offended on Monday night. He was Texas A&M's coach at the time when he was even asked about the Texas job. His name is Jim Schlossnagle. He went viral Monday night because of the way he reacted to this reporter's question. Then he went viral again because in the hindsight, oh, buddy, he didn't handle that well at all. This is Monday night after Tennessee beats Texas A&M to win the College World Series. Jim Schlossnagle, understand, this guy we now know was less than 24 hours away from being named the next Texas coach. He was asked about the Texas job Monday night. Here's how that interaction went down.
Coach, with respect to the difficult outcome tonight, but with the rumors circulating today about a specific job opening, what do you have to say about your future in Aggieland?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty selfish of you to ask me that question, to be honest with you. But I left my family to be the coach at Texas A&M. I took the job at Texas A&M to never take another job again, and that hasn't changed in my mind. And that's unfair to talk about something like that. That'd be like you asking Montgomery if he's going to sign in the draft. But I understand you got to ask the question, but I gave up a big part of my life to come take this job, and I've poured every ounce of my soul in this job, and I've given this job every single ounce I can possibly give it. So write that.
Coach, thank you.
All right. You can't handle that any worse. And that's even if
Come on,
you don't
Schlossnagle. What the hell?
That's even if you don't even know what you're going to do about the Texas job when those words are coming out of your mouth. The subsequent reporting, okay, less than 24 hours after that man said that, he was named the new head coach at Texas. And the subsequent reporting is that he agreed to this weeks ago.
Yeah, we knew it was the storyline going into the game.
He has known for weeks he is leaving Texas A&M after this season ends, whenever it ends, to be the next head coach at Texas. And yet he said those things when asked about it on Monday night. It's just crazy. Like, why are you talking about, I took this job to never take another job, when you know you're taking another job tomorrow? Like, why would you even say that? Like, you ready for this? This is all the guy had to do. Listen, I respect the question. I understand why you have to ask it. But on a night like tonight where I've got a clubhouse filled with heartbroken young men, I just prefer to keep the focus on this game, this team, those players for now. There, we're done.
Mm-hmm.
There's not going to be a follow-up question because it's all, for the most part, local media, and they're not trying to argue with you in a press conference setting. You just say, now's not the time to talk about it. I've got a clubhouse full of heartbroken men who just lost, on the biggest stage some of them will ever play on. And I'm just really eager to get back and be with them. And tonight I'd like to focus to be on this team and those players. Boom. It's it.
Mm-hmm.
Just, and then tomorrow, do whatever it is you're going to do. But if you do that, there is no scenario where I'm talking about you on Wednesday. There is no scenario where people are criticizing you the way that they are. If you just say something different than what you actually said. The people who were going to be mad at you for leaving one rival for another, like, those people are going to be mad no matter how you do it. But people like me, we don't care. I don't care what job you have. In fact, like, I look at this man's career a lot like I look at anybody else's career. Sometimes in sports, we get a little twisted up, like, well, he should be more. Most of these people approach their careers the same way you and I and everybody else approach our careers. We take the best job we can get. We do it as well as we can do it. And if we're fortunate enough to get presented with other opportunities, we look at them as well. And sometimes we take them and sometimes we don't. But at the end of the day, we're always trying to do what's best for us, best for our family, and best for blah, blah, blah. So I would never criticize in a vacuum somebody leaving one job for another job. But to do it like this, to act offended by the question, to act like the reporter who was just doing their job was out of place, and then to say stupid things like, I left my family to come here, and when I took this job, I took it to never take another job, and nothing's changed. Dude, yes, something has changed. You have already agreed to take another job, the Texas job, and you're doing it tomorrow. I just, for the life of me, cannot understand how what I assume is an otherwise intelligent guy, how you could not be better prepared for that moment. You know, win or lose, somebody's going to bring this up to you, all right? And you got to be able to answer it in a reasonable way. Be quick with it. No comment it. There's a million things he could have done better than what he actually did. But the way he handled that, it was just poorly done. And to act like a fellow professional is out of line when they so clearly wasn't, that just adds to it as well. So Jim Schlossnagle, he's been taking a beating over the past 24 hours, really 48 at this point. And I don't blame the folks who are beating on him a little bit. He did mishandle this entire situation and just said some stupid stuff he didn't need to say.
Number 2.
TMZ has an update on Bill Belichick and his much younger girlfriend. And the update is that not only are they like a legitimate couple that have been dating for a while. You ready for this, Bennett? They've been living together. They cohabitat a residence. You comfortable with this?
Yeah, whatever.
Belichick, 23-year-old Jordan Hudson. It's a roughly 50-year age gap. I saw the people on The View. They're not comfortable with it.
Are they not?
And I saw Mark Schlereth. He's not comfortable with it. He said Bill Belichick's a creep. He said, why are you being a creep? You think Bill Belichick's a creep for living with a 23-year-old at 72?
No, I don't think he's a creep.
We can agree it's weird, right? We can agree
it's a little strange.
Like,
I mean,
yeah. I'm comfortable with age gaps. I'm about 4.5 years older than my wife. Bennett, what's the age situation between you and your wife?
Like a month.
Oh, like a month.
Yep.
Okay, so you're age appropriate.
Soulmates.
Yeah, soulmates that happen to be born months apart. How about that? What are the odds of that? You know, like statistically, think about how improbable that would be.
I know
that your soulmate would be living in the same vicinity, born around the same time. Isn't that wild to think about?
It's wild, man.
Man, how lucky are you?
I'm so lucky. I'm so thankful and lucky.
You're grateful. You should be really grateful.
I am.
Hey, so I don't mind age gaps, like a 10-year age gap. I think that's whatever, who cares? And, like a nice 35-25, who cares about that? Even a 20-year one, you give me a 65-45, that don't look that crazy to me. Does a 65-45 look crazy to you, Bennett?
No.
I can see a 65-45 from, but 72-23, it just doesn't. It just doesn't.
Good on paper. Yeah.
That's the thing. People can be whatever they're into. I don't care. You just have to know this when you're Bill Belichick. If you're 72 and you're like, man, this 23-year-old, she is the love of my life, and my God, she looks great walking around the condo, and this is like a dream come true. Like, even if all of that stuff's in your head, don't you then have to remind yourself that as soon as I step out with this person, nobody is going to think I'm awesome. They're just going to think I'm a creep. Like, nobody is going to look at this and be as excited about it as I am. They're all going to look at this and go, man, what are you doing? What are you doing?
I think that's true.
Does that not play? Here's what I think. I hope I never end up as a 72-year-old single man, right? That's not something. It's not something I want to be. But if I am ever a 72-year-old single man and I meet a 23-year-old, hottie, for lack of a better word, who is actually into me, I'd like to think that even if I was into that, behind closed doors, that I would refuse to step out in public with this person because I give people enough reasons to make fun of me. I don't think I need to give them another one. That's where I think I would be. But how about this? Does this change your mind at all? Because you look at this and it looks like every other one of these, just a exaggerated version of it. Rich, famous man. He's got the lifestyle that a young, pretty woman wants. So she gets the lifestyle out of this, and he gets the young, pretty woman out of this. So everybody gets what they want, right? That's what it looks like on a surf. I saw an interview with another fella. Did you see this interview with this other fella?
No.
Okay. Jordan Hudson's ex-boyfriend, the boyfriend before Bill Belichick.
What's up with him?
He's 62.
Oh, so she just likes older guys.
I think she might just be into grandpas.
I ain't gonna king shame, bro.
Yeah, what if that's just what she's into?
That might just be her thing.
It might just, because I think I learned something from this, because I was like, oh, she just sees Bill Belichick and she's like, well, he's got a nice car. He could probably take me to Turks and Caicos. So, but maybe, because this other guy, he's 60-something and he just was like a normal guy. He wasn't a Hall of Fame football coach. Like, maybe she just likes people 60 and up. Maybe that's just her thing. And how about this? You know how they met? They were on a plane. They just happened to be seated together on a plane. All right?
Uh-huh.
Think about this. What are the odds of you meeting your soulmate ever in a world filled with a bazillion people? Incredible. How fortunate for you. Bill Belichick. Do you know how many times I've been seated on a plane next to a, let's just say, beautiful woman outside of my wife or like Molly Karam? Like, it never happens. Yesterday I sat by an old guy. Flight before that I sat by some old guy. It's just always people who look exactly like me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never get to sit next to Jordan Hudson on a plane. Rarely. All right. So think about this. You're Bill Belichick. You're on a plane. You get seated next to Jordan Hudson. A hot 23-year-old. All right. This ain't going to be the worst flight. And then turns out she's actually into old guys. What are the odds of getting seated on a plane next to a hot young woman who's into old guys as an old guy?
Not great.
I don't know. I know Bill Belichick's had a rough last year. Team sucked. He got fired. Couldn't get another job.
He did get fired. I forgot.
But getting seated next to a young woman who happens to be into old men when you were an old man who happens to be into a young woman, is that like a gift from God?
I think so. That is a gift from God.
It might be a gift from God. So I don't know what to make of this, except that it looks weird. When I see their pictures, it looks weird. Like I'm looking at a picture right now, and it's Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson and some other dude, and it looks like Bill Belichick is just taking a picture with a couple, that those two people should be together, and he should just be the person they're like, hey, would you take a picture with us? But when you really dig into it, it's like those two are the couple, and this other guy is just the other guy. It just looks weird,
yeah,
right?
It seems like it.
But if they're happy, I'm happy for them. What do I care? It's none of my business.
Number 3.
Garrett Cole got rocked last night, Bennett. I told you.
Yeah,
Red hot scorching.
You did tell me. I don't even like baseball anymore.
The scorching hot New York Mets were home underdogs to Garrett Cole, and you were like, I guess I'll take Garrett Cole. And then he went out and just got beat up. Mets jumped on him. He got blasted over 4 innings, gave up 6 runs, 7 hits. It was a 9-7 victory for the scorching hot New York Mets. 4 home runs off of Cole. He walked 4 and didn't strike out anybody. It was the second time in his big league career, only the second time in his big league career that he started and allowed at least 4 home runs while striking out nobody. Historically bad night for the former Cy Young Award winner last night. It was a loss for you in terms of, our nightly bets, but it was also a loss for the Yankees. And now the Orioles are I checked this because you were being down a little bit too. The Orioles are 2 games back of the Yankees in the East. What's your problem?
Bro, they've lost 5 in a row. They suck right now.
But you got to look big picture. You're 2 games back.
I understand. We have no pitching. Like there's just everybody that they trot out there just gets rocked in the first inning. It's ridiculous. I hate watching them right now.
Bennett, think this is what happens to sports fans. I'm watching it happen to you right now. You lose all semblance of what's reasonable and what isn't. You get your expectations all twisted up.
Mm-hmm.
Think about Baltimore Orioles fan, longtime Baltimore Orioles fan. Think about this. If I'd have just told you 5 years ago, hey, on June 26, 2024, we'll be getting ready for night 1 of the NBA draft, and you'll be coming off of a season where you won the AL East, and you'll be on 19 games above 500 on June 26, only 2 games back of the Yankees in the AL East. You excited or are you upset?
I mean, I have context I have to add.
You're thrilled. 2 games back of the Yankees, 19 games above 500 for the Orioles, and we won the AL East last year? headed back to the playoffs this year, it looks like you'd be excited. And now look at you. You're down. You've lost track. You've lost yourself. You've lost yourself.
I'm down.
The Mets did you a favor last night. They kept you only 2 games back of the Yankees. You got another game tonight. Mets-Yankees tonight. Mets win tonight. Back to 500 for the first time all season. First time all season to be back to 500. See, I'm excited, and you're not excited, but your team's way better than my team. I think you've lost yourself a little bit.
I have probably.
Number 4.
Haley Welch.
I was wondering what. I saw this headline.
She is signed with United Talent Agency, like it's a legitimate talent agency.
Well, she's apparently talented.
She talks like she is.
Yeah.
You know? I can't say for sure, but she does talk like she's talented. She talked viral sensation. I think this happened while I was out of town. Did this happen while I was out of town?
I think it did, yeah.
The biggest thing in the world while I was in Texas. I think she became the biggest thing in the world while I was in Texas. And like a week later, she's now signed with a legitimate talent agency. I saw merchandising is already happening. Hot Tuah 24, the whole deal. What do you think's next for this young woman? Where is Haley Welch a year from now?
Oh, I'm sure there's like a reality TV competition show in her future. Isn't that where they say, you do the copyright, you do the merch, then you like go on the challenge or whatever, one of those shows.
You think
maybe I don't think Dancing with the Stars would have her.
You don't think she's Dancing to the Stars level yet?
Well, I just don't. I think they probably have that's a family show. That's a family show, dude. Come on.
What a wild thing to become famous for.
I know.
Being on the streets and discussing your go-to move when it comes to that.
Yeah.
And now you're famous. What a world we live in where you can just get famous but I get it. It makes sense. Like the first time I saw that. I
don't get it. Stop.
I knew the first time I saw this, she's
going to be a star.
I knew it. You know how I knew it? First off, she's cute, right? It starts there. She's cute. All right. She's got the little accent that I think helpful. It plays into it. And the other thing, and I think this is the key, this is why this thing worked. First off, she seemed a little drunk, or at least like she looked like sounded like she'd been drinking a little bit. So she was uninhibited. And then it was like, you ever see on Family Feud when somebody just says a ridiculous answer, like they just buzz and it's like, boom, and it's just the first thing that comes out of their mouth and you go, oh my God, how did that? This is what that was. She didn't even have to think about the answer to the question. She just heard a question and she had the answer. It's like she had the answer. She didn't have to think about it. It was like, what's your go-to move? And she was like, oh, you gotta, and then it's perfect. Hawk Tuah, spit on that thing, saying that being the tagline worked perfectly. But I think the biggest reason it resonated is because she wasn't sitting there like, let me think. She just knew the answer because she has an answer. Like she's had this conversation before. Like she's talked about this before with other people. And that came through brilliantly. And now she's a star. I'm happy for her.
Yeah.
I'm happy for her. Yeah, maybe you could do a reality TV show, Like the thing to do would be OnlyFans. Like if you're just trying to maximize earning potential, the thing would be OnlyFans. But you don't know if she wants to be a part of that world, right?
Sure.
Just because you like to spit on that thing doesn't mean that you want to be an OnlyFans model. You know what I'm saying, Bennett? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I catch your drift. Yeah.
So everybody is like, she should join OnlyFans. Well, what if she doesn't want to join OnlyFans? What if that's just not like who she is? Like it's okay to be, Hawk Tuah girl and not want to perform on OnlyFans. Like that's okay.
I bet the merch sells.
Oh yeah, it's gonna sell.
The merch will sell.
But you have to and it's smart. She's on it now. You have to. These moments, this could be a moment that lasts forever, or it could be gone by Friday, right? So if you're gonna sell Hawk Tuah merch, you got to do it now. It's like if you're gonna sell, and maybe this lasts forever as well. But like if you're gonna sell mustard on the beat hoe shirts, you need to do that now. You need to do that 2 weeks ago. You need to do that a month ago. You don't need to come out in 2026 with your mustard on the beat hoe shirts because people will be like, oh yeah, I remember that. That was back right around the time of Hawk Tuah girl, right? You need to capitalize now. And it appears she is. So I'm happy for her, and I'm looking forward to see where her career takes her. I'm looking forward to see where her career takes her.
Me too, man.
Number 5.
We got a new Dear Jane. We got a new Dear Jane.
What's going on, Jane?
This ain't the worst one in the world. I mean, we've seen some rough situations. I don't know if this is the roughest situation in the world, but it is a situation. A woman wrote about it. She's about to get married. Here's what she wrote to Jane. I'll just read it to you, then we'll talk through it. We'll try to figure it out. Dear Jane, that's the way they always start. I'm getting married next June. Congratulations to her. Congratulations.
Congrats.
I still can't believe it. And contrary to what everyone has told me, the wedding planning has actually been pretty easy so far, except for one really well, this is a typo in the story. You can't have typos in your Dear Jane. Now you got me all hung up. What she's saying is the wedding planning has been going smoothly except for the topic of bridesmaids.
Okay.
She continues, I've had 4 of my bridesmaids locked in since we were in middle school. Wow. Who follows through on that? 4 of these women, I guess this is what people do. They talk about, if I ever get married, hey, I'm in 7th grade now, but if I ever get married, you 4 will be my bridesmaids. And then you actually are getting married? And it's still those 4 people from middle school?
It's impressive.
That's wild. That is impressive.
Yeah.
Those are relationships that's impressive. I don't know how normal that is. Anyway, she's got 4 bridesmaids locked in. They've been friends since middle school.
Okay.
They're all super close, and it was always obvious to me that they'd be standing with me when I eventually got married. Then I have a cousin who is like a best friend to me, so she was another obvious choice. That takes us to 5. But my fiance is having 6 groomsmen, and we'd ideally like to have an even number, which is where things get a bit weird. I have an older sister, so I think most people assume she'd be my 6th pick, including her. I, on the other hand, can't think of anything worse than having her in my bridal party. She has always been a pessimist about everything, and while I've been planning the wedding, she's been harping on about every negative thing she can. The flowers are too expensive. Having 2 dresses is stupid. My choice of venue is too over the top. Blah, blah, blah. Long, Dear Jane, not so long. Bennett, here's the deal.
Okay.
The sister knows you need a 6th bridesmaid. You do actually need a 6th bridesmaid. The sister believes it should be her. She believes it will be her. But you, much as you love your sister, can't stand her in this way. Don't want her as a bridesmaid. Don't want to be getting dressed for your wedding with her hanging around. You don't like her energy. You gotta... the easiest thing to do is just say, of course, big sister, you're a bridesmaid, but I feel like it'll ruin my wedding day, and I don't want to do it. Jane, how do we handle this? What do you do, Bennett?
I mean, I think you're required to have your sibling.
You think so?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could damage your family forever.
Damage your family forever?
Yeah, I think you just got to suck it up and have your sister in the wedding.
Did you have
think about how many people that had, and I'm an only child, so I didn't have to deal with that. My wife and her sister get along. She was her maid of honor, so like no big deal there. But think about how many people have had their siblings as a bridesmaid or a groomsman that they don't like and don't get along with. It's just what you do.
It's just what you do.
Yeah, you got to get over it, sis. Sorry.
We didn't have that, groomsmen or bridesmaids. We went away and got married. Like, we didn't have any money. Like, we were broke. We were young and broke and like didn't have any money. And I didn't want, so we couldn't afford like a nice wedding. And I didn't want to ask people to like go out of the country and watch us get married. Cause like we were young, and most of our friends also didn't have the money at the time to just go, out of the country to watch these 2 idiots get married. So I never had to make these decisions, which on one hand is kind of sad. Like, I look back, our wedding is not something we look back on fondly. It's just like we just went and got married, and there's like no good memories from it. It's just like we just went away and got married. Our family wasn't there, our parents weren't there, our friends weren't there. But like the other side of it is I didn't have to make any of these decisions. I didn't have to cut anybody or leave anybody out. Have you ever been bothered? Have you ever had a friend get married and you're not a part of the wedding party and you felt like you should have been, and that hurt your feelings?
No, not really. No.
How many weddings you been in? Let's see how many friends you got.
Like 3 or 4.
Okay, that's not a bad number.
Yeah.
Been a best man? You ever been somebody's best man?
No, I never been somebody's best man. No.
Man, that's sad. I'm sorry.
I don't care. It's fine. That's a big obligation.
I don't plan on ever having to get married again. I hope not. It just seems a lot of trouble. But if I do, I'll consider you as my best man.
Oh, good.
Just to check that box, you know.
Thanks
I don't
for
want
the
you
consideration.
Yeah, and I don't want to overstate it. I got other people I got to consider. You ain't the only person I've said this to. All right. But I can at least consider it because I don't want you to die having never been somebody's best man.
I appreciate that. I
guess there's one time where somebody got married and I wasn't in the wedding party and I was like, well, I need to reevaluate this relationship. Maybe this relationship isn't what I thought it was, right? But just one time and then got over it pretty quickly. But other than that, I think I'm okay with the decisions other people have made. I think we got to be on opposite sides of this one. You say you just make it's the sixth bride maid of honor. Who cares? It's the sixth bridesmaid. Who cares? Make it your sister. She'll be happy if it's her. She'll be disappointed if it's not her. So just do the easy thing and make it her and don't worry about it. Except it is your day. And if it's not what you want, you don't want this person around, why not just be honest about it and just say, and I mean actually honest about it. Go to her and say, hey, I love you. But here's the truth. You are constantly driving me crazy with the negativity. I'm so excited about my wedding and you have been shitting on it the entire time. And I just don't want that energy in the room with me on my wedding day. I love you. I hope you're not offended. I understand if you are, but just know that the reason I'm doing this isn't to upset you. It's because this is my day. And just everything that comes out of your mouth makes me think you're going to make it less than what it should be. That's a hard thing to say out loud and probably a hard thing to hear. But, I don't know. I can see both sides of this one.
Now that I think, this makes me think, me and my wife have talked about this a ton. Doing the way you guys did it. I know you say y'all don't have fond memories of your wedding. I feel like that's the way to go, bro.
We got married and then went and changed clothes and just hung out at the pool all day at the resort.
I feel like me and my wife, if we've talked about this, if we could do it over again, we might just do that. It's just so easy. It's just so much easier. I mean, we had a great wedding and it was amazing and of all the friends and family and everything like that. But I don't know. I think weddings are overrated. Okay.
I think weddings can be a huge waste of money for people. And that was our motivating factor. We weren't trying. Our opinion was never, this is the way we want to get married, or this is the best way to get married, or big weddings in front of your friends and family are stupid. It was none of that. It was simply we didn't have a lot of money. We wanted to get married. This was the way to do it. And so we did what we had to do, right? But I do think both of us look back on it and go, it's kind of sad that our parents weren't there to see us get married,
I get that.
Our brothers and, our siblings weren't there. And so I if that's what you're into, go do it. It's fine. It's certainly cost effective, but we both do look back at it as not, if we'd had a bunch of money dumped on us at that age, we'd have probably done it differently.
I get that.
You can do it however you want to. It's not, you know what? You can do it however you want to. As it pertains to this, Bennett says just invite the sister. I'm open-minded to that, but ultimately I think I'd land on it's your day. Do what you want to do. Clearly you don't want your sister in this thing. Otherwise you wouldn't be writing Jane about it. So land there. But I understand if you could just bite the bullet and say, I'll just try to, fingers in the ears. I'm not going to listen to my sister drive me crazy today, but I don't want her to feel left out. I see that side of it. I think I'd land on the other side, but I see your side of it as well. Be back with GP's Carryout.
Mike did his favorite black films of all time. Mike, where we at?
If there's one movie I know every single line to, it is Coming to America.
There we go.
It is Coming to America. It can come on any time of any day, and I'm going to stop and watch at least 20 minutes of it.
Get all of your HBCU sports and culture news by tuning in to HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. New episodes drop every Thursday on grindcitymedia.com, YouTube, and Spotify.
I think we have the college basketball title futures. UConn's number one.
I really like Houston. I'd have them winning it all, but you can't be giving Drake jerseys. What is wrong with you?
Maybe the Drake curse is stronger in college basketball.
How long has he been riding with Kentucky?
He wore an Alabama jersey and Saban retired.
The Odds Couple with Rob Fisher, Lang Whitaker, John Roser, and CJ Hurt live Thursdays at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
There's no substitute for experience, the knowledge gained from having been there before, and the passion to share what you know to make everyone around you better. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy.
Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
Scrolling through the chat, Buddy Randall said he'd like to get Hawk Tuah girl on the show. I would take Haley Welch on the show, no problem, Bennett, if you can get that done.
I mean, she might be a little too famous at this point, but we'll give it a shot.
Yeah, like she gonna end up on Pat McAfee by the end of the week. She's a real star. She's a real star. But I would take her. I feel like I'd have a nice conversation with her. I feel like this is a young woman I could talk to. I feel like she has some things I'd be interested in finding out.
Possibly, yeah.
How weird, there's a couple of these things that have happened in like the past week or two. Did you see the police officer who arrested Justin Timberlake, apparently went to the lake this weekend, and that was a story on TMZ.
He's famous now, yeah.
These are two people who are just living their day-to-day lives. They're completely anonymous, just normal people. And then you with the police officer, you happen to just pull over a car that you see run a stop sign. And because the person inside of it is A, super famous, and B, allegedly intoxicated, now you're at the lake with your buddies a few days later, and paparazzi is out there with cameras selling shots of you on a boat to TMZ. That's bananas. Isn't that bananas?
That's wild.
Imagine if you did something today at work and just in the normal, day-to-day of doing your job. Like you just push some buttons for work. And then next thing you know, you were hanging out with your boys this weekend and there were photographers, in the yard next to you taking pictures. And, 4 hours later, you saw yourself on TMZ drinking by a fire pit. Right. Isn't that crazy?
Crazy.
And the Hawk Tuah girl, she was just, I guess we'll get the whole story someday. Maybe it's already out there. But she was just out with friends, I guess. And because there's these content creators everywhere now, and there's people out on the streets asking people questions, hoping for something like this to happen. She just is kind of naturally funny and has a little moment. And it catches on, and now she's signing merchandising deals and being recruited by talent agencies. And, I'd be shocked if she's not on the Call Her Daddy podcast with Alex Cooper by, the end of July. Your whole world just turns upside down because of this one little moment, and it happens in a way that it just couldn't happen to people 50 years ago, 100 years ago, maybe even 30 years ago. You couldn't get famous in this way, in previous times. But now, the way you can become you can go from completely anonymous to very famous, at least on the internet. The ways that it can happen are, I don't know. I always wonder what it must be like to be one of these people. These are just the Bobby Altoff one's another good one. She's just a normal woman with a husband and kid, and she starts a podcast. And next thing you know, she's got these couple of viral moments. The Drake thing happens, and now I can't open my computer without seeing her somewhere. She was in Compton the other day at the Not Like Us video shoot. So just I guess Hawk Tuah girl and the police officer in the Hamptons are two of the latest examples. But it must be strange for these people to go from just their normal lives to super famous, and they really didn't do anything outside of their normal lives to become super famous or anything illegal or anything really scandalous. They were just like, it was a pretty normal day for them, and they got famous because of things that happened on this otherwise normal day. I don't know. Just stuff like that catches my attention sometimes, and it must be a whirlwind and exciting for them on some level, but also can probably get complicated. So, we'll see where it goes. But Bennett, if you can book Hawk Tuah girl, I'll
work on it.
Yeah, I'll take her. Give me 15 minutes with Hawk Tuah girl. I bet we'd have a nice conversation. Work on that. Let's wrap this up with GP's Carryout.
It's time for GP's Carryout. One final segment filled with stuff to take with you. It's not everything you need to know, but it's most of it. What did we learn today?
Bunch of stuff. I'm mostly focused on the big trade in the NBA from yesterday and the 2024 NBA draft that is scheduled to get underway tonight. The big trade yesterday, the New York Knicks have added Mikal Bridges from the Brooklyn Nets. They have upgraded on the wing and are trying to position themselves to be the biggest threat to the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference. Obviously, some of that's going to have to do with what does Philadelphia do with all of this cap space. We won't have answers to this stuff until next month at some point. But certainly the Knicks, on paper, got better yesterday by making this deal. They paid a big price, but like I said earlier, the price you pay for something like Mikal Bridges, it's only something you get caught up on if it doesn't work out. If Mikal Bridges is a good version of what you believe he can be, impacts winning, takes you places, or at least helps take you places you otherwise wouldn't have been able to get, you won't care that you spent X amount of first-round picks to get him. You'll just be glad that you did. The only way you'll care about the price you paid yesterday is if it doesn't work out for a variety of reasons. But, they did get better on paper yesterday, and that was the big headline in advance of the 2024 NBA draft. Starts tonight. Zachary Ricochet, still considered the favorite to be the number one pick, but there's no guarantee Atlanta isn't going to move the pick before Adam Silver, the commissioner, walks on that stage tonight. So a lot of intrigue, even though we're just hours away from getting some answers. I should hit you before we move on with some breaking news. Ross Dellinger, Yahoo Sports, is now reporting that Memphis is hiring Virginia Deputy AD Ed Scott as its next athletic director. He was a former AD at Morgan State, and he's also worked at Louisville, George Washington, Binghamton, and his alma mater, Albany. So it looks like we now have a new athletic director at the University of Memphis. It's Ed Scott, who has been the deputy AD at Virginia.
What's today's biggest game?
How about afternoon baseball? Let's go afternoon baseball. First pitch in about 30 minutes. It's a makeup game from yesterday. Braves at Cardinals, Busch Stadium up in St. Louis. Tonight, or rather today, you got, let's see who's pitching here. Ronaldo Lopez on the mound for Atlanta. St. Louis is going with Kyle Gibson. The Braves are listed as minus 130 favorites on the road. The Cardinals are plus 110. Big Bet Bennett, how are you going to act after dropping to 125, 130, and 4 last night, taking Garrett Cole and the Yankees over the Mets? You're now negative 19.2 units.
I guess I'll take the Braves.
Bennett says he's going to take the Braves on the road. Their doubleheader today. It's a day-night doubleheader. Bennett says he's taking Atlanta in game one. The Braves 43 and 33, but only 19 and 20 away from home. So they haven't been great on the road this season. We'll see how they do in St. Louis later on this afternoon.
What are we watching on TV?
Okay, so I told you yesterday when I got on my flight I was going to get caught up on House of the Dragon.
Okay.
That wasn't a lie because I believed it when I was saying it. It was the truth when I said it, but I adjusted my plan. I was late getting to the airport. I had to very quickly just download some stuff. I opened up my Netflix app, and this documentary, 3-part documentary that has been popping up on Netflix, just always, I see it on Netflix all the time. I never watched it. And finally I was like, you know what? I bet this is pretty easy to watch. Might be interesting. Won't have to think a lot. Won't have to pay attention. I'm going to try to knock this out. And you know what that thing was, Bennett? The Ashley Madison documentary on Netflix. Did you ever watch it?
No.
Okay, 3-part documentary. The episodes are like, 45, 55 minutes. So it's, you could pretty much knock the whole thing out on a flight from Memphis to New York City. I had to watch some of it on my car into, from the airport up here to Stanford. But I did wrap it up. It's this story, right? You know the Ashley Madison story. This has been on Netflix for a while, earlier this year, but several weeks, maybe even months at this point. I just never got around to it. The story was this website they created. It's like a dating website for married people, right? You're married and you don't want to lose your spouse. You don't want to break up your marriage, but you do want to find, let's just say, companionship outside of your marriage discreetly. You go on this website and you meet other married people who are interested in the exact same thing you are, meeting somebody new. But, it goes no further than that. We ain't trying to leave anybody. We are happily married. We just have other needs that need to be fulfilled outside of the marriage. This is the whole business model, right? And you had like 35, 40 million people on this website. And then there was a data breach. They got hacked. And all of the information on the website came out. There's this one couple. They're like, I guess, vloggers. One of those Christian couples that they they show their lives on video, and aren't they so cute, and living the life God wants them to live, all that stuff, right? And they're both like young, good-looking people. They got kids and the whole thing. Well, this fella fell sick for this guy. This fella, at one point apparently they had I don't know if I felt sick for him. He did it to himself, but he was having marital problems. Let's just say he loved his wife, and but it just, he had things that he needed outside of the marriage, but he loved his wife so much. And so he signed up for this Ashley Madison website, right? And he, he did what he did, but he had reached a point, as he tells the story, where like, man, my marriage is now good. We're having another baby. I did what I did, but I'm done with that. I'm not doing it anymore. And I'm just going to take this stuff to my grave with me. And, she doesn't have to know. Nobody has to know except me and the other people involved. And, they're not going to say anything because they don't want anybody to know any more than I want anybody to know. And I'm out that lifestyle. And now my marriage is in a good place. And, man, I'm just going to move forward and take that other stuff to the grave, right? And so they're having a baby and they've become famous, like vloggers. And then when the data breach comes, his name's on there. And even though he says he had not, done anything with that website in a long time, your name's still out there and it becomes public, and your whole business is, your whole career is tied up in like being a Christian blogger / vlogger. And now you've been exposed, at least on some level, as a hypocrite. So the poor guy's got to tell that story. That's a hard story to tell. They're sort of among the stars of the documentary. So it's just, I don't know. I remember it vaguely when this was like a big thing, data breach and whatever, but I had forgotten the details. I thought it was a completely enjoyable, easy documentary to watch. 3 parts. You can find it on Netflix. Just type in Ashley Madison, and I'm sure it'll pop right up. But don't type in Ashley Madison in like your Google search, because then that'll pop up, and then somebody might ask, like, why were you Googling Ashley? Just go straight to Netflix. Just play it, go straight to Netflix, and watch it at your convenience. I thought it was easy to watch.
What's the best thing we've read?
I did do my hopefully final mock draft posted over at CBSSports.com. Zachary Richey still projected to go number 1 to the Atlanta Hawks. I got Devin Carter going 9th to the Grizzlies, but it remains unclear if the Grizzlies will move up, move down, or stand pat. We'll find out tonight. If you want to see the latest mock draft, you can find it at CBSSports.com.
What's on tap for tomorrow?
Tomorrow's Thursday, so we'll be looking back at night 1 of the NBA draft. We'll have answers to all these Grizzlies questions by the time we sit down in front of this camera. Be getting ready for night 2 of the NBA draft. Barring a surprise, that'll be all about LeBron James' son, Bronny James, as he get picked 55th by the Lakers tomorrow night. So Thursday should be fun. I'm looking forward to it already. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll enjoy mine. We'll be back here tomorrow at 10. Till then, be careful, be kind, be good. Rep your hood.